Once again, we go far beyond the world. I don't think that works as an intro. Anyway, so we're just going to pick things up where we left them last time. Since I don't have too much to say, I know you'll all be anxious to watch this one. Let's just get going. The following day greets me with the warm glow of the rising sun. I still feel uneasy about the previous night. Although I have bonded with Rannoch, I think I might have stumbled upon something I'd be better off without. Something wrong transpired yesterday. I don't know what. Did the wolf cross the line by sneaking up on me in the middle of the night? I shake my head in dismissal. It's not that. The wolf is quirky, true, but nothing else than kind and caring. I throw off the blanket, deceived by the warm hues flooding the room, only to realise it is a really cold morning. Gently I check the wooden floor with my toe, and a jolt of cold shoots upwards through my body. There's no other way around it. I simply hop off the bed with both feet immediately stinging in discomfort. It doesn't last long. I'm more concerned by the slight shivers caused by my naked skin. Pity that Rannoch doesn't have any shirts, but at the same time, why would he? He's a wolf with fur covering him from head to toe. I envy him the comfort of his coat. It's very warm and cosy. Memory of snuggling into his chest only empowers the sensation of chill creeping down my back. I notice goosebumps appearing on my skin. This leaves me in a rather peculiar situation, where I have to fashion some form of toga out of my bed linen. Once I'm satisfied with my handiwork, I approach the window to look at the forest outside. The sun seeps through the treetops, splitting into a spectacular light show that I can't help but admire. I take in the fresh fragrance of the morning dew, almost identical to the smell I came to associate with Rannoch. That's when I hear the wolfman stir in the next room. I swiftly approach the doors separating our chambers, opening them without much warning. My eyes focus on the wolf, who stretches out in a long yawn, all muscles tensing up as he arches upwards. He's completely nude, and try as I can, I do not divert my gaze from his bulging sheath donned by two furry balls swinging heavily beneath. "I'm so sorry!" I yelp out as I just dip my fingers into boiling water. I hide my face inside my palms, trying to communicate clearly it was just an accident. "Well, Sam!" A wooden scrape fills the room as the wolf stumbles back onto the table, desperately trying to cover his crotch. I turn away, clenching my teeth in utter embarrassment. I should have knocked. I hear the male scramble about with a distinct shriek of the table moving along the wooden floor as he tries to get his loincloth on. "I didn't mean to," I mutter apologetically, but I quickly feel a surge of anger rising within me. "Why aren't you sleeping naked?" I call out, still avoiding eye contact and shielding my field of vision with a hand. "Well, why aren't you?" The male responds nonchalantly. I can't think of a riposte that wouldn't imply I don't trust him. Even if he has a creepy habit of staring at people in their sleep, my covers remain where they were. I groan in annoyance. Are you decent?" Just a moment." He seems just as embarrassed as I am. "I'm sorry I barged in like that." "Oh, it's fine. I'm good now." The wolf responds, allowing me to finally face him. He isn't good, though. All he has on him is ridiculously skimpy loincloth which barely covers his protruding bulge. I try to avoid looking at that area by diverting my gaze upwards, which is as much a mistake as I end up staring him up. I admire the way his upper body is sculpted, his musculature on full display. It is alluring to gaze at such a hunk. As much as I want to fight it, my body reacts in the most predictable way. I feel a slight tingling in my nether region and my pulse raises. God, I need a distraction for my entire face paints red. "Oh, I smuggled some food yesterday for your breakfast. I don't want you to go hungry." He points awkwardly to a small wicker basket in the corner, obviously picking up on my distress. At moments like this I envy the beastmen their fur coating. At least they don't announce their embarrassment to the whole world as humans do. I quickly approach a basket and look inside. There are 6 eggs, 2 thick slices of pork and some bread. I smile, realizing this is a universal breakfast as it can get. "Would you share it with me?" I ask absent-mindedly. I'd enjoy cooking for us. Rannoch's eyes widen in surprise, but quickly his expression changes into a smile. Well, if you're offering. He points to the hearth, which looks as alien to me as he himself does. In all honesty, I have no idea what I'm getting myself into, but anything's better than lingering in this awkwardness. Do you know how to go about it? I look at the stone fireplace, trying to figure out how each of the prongs and spikes plays into the whole rustic cooking experience. I'm a fast learner. I smile, approaching the hearth with confidence. I can feel its warmth embrace me, gently kissing my skin wherever it is exposed. It is a welcome sensation in this otherwise cold morning. Eggs, bacon and toast it is, I say with a wide grin as the wolf's ears perk up and his expression lightens. Well, I have to say, I like your newfound confidence. I smile back at the male, feeling thankful to have someone as positive and supportive as him taking care of me. Well, now that I kind of understand what's going on. I cut off once I gaze back at the hearth and my smile disappears. How would one even go about making breakfast in this living museum? Before I get to ask, Rannoch approaches me what looks like a flat iron plate on a long prong. It doesn't even have sides and looks like no pan I've ever seen. Not that I actually can remember. Again, my mind is playing tricks, making me aware of things I can't recollect. Pan or not, I can see one could easily make a proper fry upon it. I place my hands on the handle, nodding to Rannoch to let go. To my surprise, it is much heavier than I anticipated. Cooking utensils shouldn't be this heavy. Before I drop it to the floor, I feel the male's embrace, its form enveloping mine as he aids my hold from behind. I can feel his chest pressing against my back, as well as hear his breath just above my head. My heart skips a beat as his paws cover my hands, supporting the hold on the heavy pan. Easy now. He croons softly, helping me to properly hold the pan above the fire. I'm frozen. I just managed to calm myself down, and this is again sending me to the edge. Perhaps I should hold it while you take care of the rest. I nod hastily, wanting to get out of the embrace. Feeling his fur, his form against mine, is more stimulating than I expected. As I entangle myself from his embrace, I rush towards the wicker basket. Part of me is angry that I dismissed the moment so soon, but I do not have the courage to face the embarrassment of getting aroused in front of him. Not to mention it feels all sorts of wrong. Well, it's not much, but that's all I could scrounge up, he says almost all apologetically. Well, it's plenty enough for me. I give him a reassuring smile and grab the wicker basket, letting it rustle merrily with my step as I bring it forth to the hearth. The wolf does a good job of securing the pan inside the fireplace. I watch as the flame embraces the rim of the iron plate, dancing merrily along the edges. I notice a large two-pronged fork resting on the mantel above. Reaching with my hand, I grab its handle and use it to carefully move a succulent slab of pork onto the pan. I guide a slice around the metal plate, allowing its fat to cover the whole thing nicely. The wolf watches intently, his ears perking up as I place another slice on the pan. Well, you know what you're doing. I guess. I told you, you have a good compass. I smile, giving him a happy side-eye. I crack the first egg on the stone wall of the hearth, carefully moving it over the pan. I could hear Rannoch's tail sweep the floor like a broom. The wolf doesn't need much to get into a good mood. Once I spill the egg onto the hot plate, I look around for a place to discard the shells. I'll throw it into the fire, the wolf says softly. It makes for better fertilizer. Fertilizer? Or we use the ashes to enrich the soil. The wolf explains, helping me with the remaining eggs. I learned something new. We crack the remaining eggs one by one, watching our breakfast sizzle. It looks gorgeous, with the red pork slowly browning and eggs settling in tight. The smell is amazing, but I realise something is missing. Do you have any salt? Salt? The wolf looks at me with an amused smile. First a mirror, now this. Well, I started to think you might be a lost human noble. As if. I grunt through a laugh. Then again, maybe I am. It definitely wouldn't be any crazier than talking wolves now, would it? Once everything is fried to perfection, Rannoch moves the pan onto the table. The flame dances happily, filling the gap where the pan smothered it, returning to full glow. I sit with my back to the fire, enjoying the warmth of the hearth and the radiating heat of the pan. I feel so snug, completely forgetting how dreadfully cold this morning is. Rannoch cuts the stale bread into a few slices and impales them on a spit. "Want to wash up while they roast?" he asks, pointing to a wooden bowl standing on a cupboard in front of the table. "Well, I suggest you go first, as I tend to leave lots of fur behind." The wolf smiles awkwardly while splaying out his arms, once again inviting me to inspect his musculature. Yep, that's a lot of fur, all right. I reluctantly move away from my seat towards the bowl, not really keen on leaving the warmth of the fireplace, but also not wanting to come across as unhygienic. As I stare at the bowl, noticing my distorted reflection, I cannot help but feel this is just bare bones. I don't know why, but I know I'll have to figure out a better way to get clean down the line. For now, however, this would have to suffice. I dip my hands first, quickly shuddering. "Fuck, it's cold!" I yelp, causing the wolf to laugh. Cold is an understatement. The water is frigid, my hands feeling as if I'm about to lose my fingers. "Helps you wake up, doesn't it?" The male laughs, looking back at the slowly browning bread. Well then, no other choice, is there? I scoop the water with my hands and quickly slush my face with it, drawing a raspy gasp. Damn, it's cold. I might as well be washing myself with a handful of needles. I repeat it a few times, then cleaning off my hands and arms as quickly as possible. My skin feels like it's on fire. I can see a small cloth resting next to the bowl, which I use to dry myself off. Once I finish, I quickly rush towards the fireplace to get back into the warmth. As I sit, Rannoch removes the last piece of toast from the spit. When he notices my face, he snorts to a held-down laugh. Pink. He struggles to contain his amusement as I realise my skin flushed because of the exposure. The wolf goes to the cupboard to take his turn washing up. Sure, when you're covered with fur, that water might not be that bad, but fuck. I shudder just at the memory of it. I watch with curiosity as he washes up, noticing that he isn't actually soaking the fur, but rather brushing it with a wetted paw. He rises his massive arms up, biceps fully tensed, allowing me to see a lush fluff underneath his armpits, akin to what you'd normally see in humans. Rannoch begins to wash his pits, and for a moment I feel slightly embarrassed his bathroom routine is more diligent than mine. That embarrassment changes to outright horror as I see him undo his underwear, cloth dropping to the floor with a soft flop, and exposing his taut butt cheeks. He is being too diligent. I quickly drag the chair to the left, causing a loud wooden creak which draws Rannoch's attention. Don't turn around. I stop him before he can accidentally flash me again. Oh, sorry. My gaze is drilled into the wall separating kitchen from the bedroom, but I can still see him moving in my peripheral vision, dangling over the bowl, leaving no room for imagination as to what he's actually washing. I shield myself from the view with my hand and stay like that until the wolf sits back at the table. I'm glad I've washed first. I mumble in annoyance. I wouldn't want to splash myself with his ball tea. Well, kind of you to wait, but as I said, this is more for you than myself. I regard the male as he pushes the plate towards me. I'd like to share. I won't be able to eat all of this anyway. I look around the room to find some utensils, but it didn't seem like there are any on display. Well, something's wrong? The wolf asks, seeing my gaze wandering around the room. How do we eat? Well, you have fingers, don't you? He chuckles, tucking one egg into his paw and shoveling it into his muzzle. I grimace at the idea of having yolk dripping all over my hands and face. Sure, maybe he can swallow an egg whole with his massive jaw, but I would not be able to do that. I grab a slice of toast and break off a piece, using it to dip into the yolk. That way I don't risk splattering it all over myself. La-di-da. The wolf scoffs at my eating. Guess I was right about you being a noble after all. He winks, to which I can only roll my eyes, enjoying the meal. The toast is amazing and pairs perfectly with the creamy yolk. It's definitely a familiar sensation, something I had to enjoy before. I pull off a little bit of pork to sandwich between two pieces of toast, dipping it all into the eggs. Damn, this is quite good. It's almost as if I'm discovering flavours of foods anew. As I fashion another such bite, I notice the wolf looking at me with a curious smile. Instead of eating it myself, I instinctively offer the piece to him, which catches the wolf by surprise. Again I hear the swinging of the tail and my smile widens. Rannoch opens his muzzle and gently takes the food from my hand, careful not to bare his fangs at me. I struggle to contain a blush as his lips delicately envelop my fingers. I notice my left leg begin twitching in rhythm of his wagging. Not bad. He smacks his lips with a cheeky grin. I laugh quietly and go back to eating. My thoughts wander off as we sit there in silence. Rannoch is really kind and supportive. There's something about him I can't put my finger on. Everyone's really cautious about me. You're the only one taking this in stride. Well, that's just the way I am. He shrugs with a weak smile. Maybe, but you've been extremely friendly towards me. Well, I'm always friendly. He smiles, gulping another egg in one bite. No one's always friendly. I look at him with a knowing gaze. He's hiding something. For we'd have an open conversation, I want him to be honest. He looks to the side with a sigh, scratching his chin. Rannoch, I say pleadingly, but the wolf still avoids looking at me. At the very beginning, just before you untied me, you said to Vul that you need me to trust you. Why? Still nothing. I want to trust you, I do, but you must also trust me in turn. Why do you care so much about me? It's not just your coming-of-age ceremony, is it? There's something you're not telling me. You're more perceptive than I hoped. Not sorry to disappoint you in that regard, I mutter defiantly, ripping off another piece of toast. He scoots over ever so slightly, enough however to draw my attention to it. The day before my ceremony I prayed to the ancestors and to Aluna. I asked them for clarity and guidance, to know if they approve of my vision for the future of our tribe. Your vision? What do you mean by that? Well, before long I will become the next chief, and that will mean I'll have to stay here until I'll be laid to rest beneath my tree. Before that happens, I want to see the world, to explore and experience it for myself, so that I can learn and become better than my father and all those who came before him. How do you know you'll be the next chief? Is it hereditary like a monarchy? I asked, dipping the toast in yolk and chewing on it idly. Well, not precisely. Technically, the chief is elected by the Howl. The Howl? Well, it's a gathering of the prominent tribal leaders. They're called upon to make important decisions, like choosing a chief or advising him on hard issues. So they're like a parliament, then? Oh, kinda. He looks at me with slight amusement. You're quite well informed. Yeah, well, not about the things that actually matter. I mumble, picking at some bacon. If it's elective, though, how do you know you'll be the next chief? Well, because my father's made me his heir. In order for the Howl to choose someone else, there would have to be a challenger. He dons a wide, proudful smile. Well, I'm pretty much safe in that regard. There's no one who could seriously challenge me and hope to win. Volgo could, I say cheekily, biting on the piece of toast dipped in yolk. He narrows his eyes at me with a smirk. Well, Vol doesn't want to be chief. Lucky you. I continue to tease him. Well, I could take him down, you know. He says defiantly through a grin, and I just flash my brows. Oh, I could. The wolf growls playfully as his tail wags. If you say so. I finally chuckle, seeing his mild indignation. So you want to become a better leader? That's understandable. But how will travelling help you accomplish that? Well, my people are dying out, holding on to an antiquated way of life. They're trying to preserve a piece of a world that no longer exists, while the rest of Avalon seeks to build a better future together. I might not trust the tigers, but the alliance of Tigeron has kept the continent at peace for centuries. Well, for the most part. I roll my eyes. You did kind of go to war over her. Rannoch flicks his tail in annoyance, giving me a stern look. He obviously finds the subject irritating. I wish you didn't treat this so lightly. That war was an outcry of a species who would simply not roll over and die. It was our last-ditch attempt to prove to the rest of Avalon that we are still here and are to be treated with respect. His words are empty. I snort. Respect. What about the tiger who paid with his life for a simple mistake? Where was respect in that? You said yourself you would have killed me if... Stop! He cuts me off with a pleading tone, but I can't stop. Not after he admitted that I would pay with my life for any potential damage to his tree. No! Where would your respect be in killing me over something so silly like a damn tree? I finish my unexpected rant, my heart rattling enough to even make me wonder what the hell just happened. Rannoch takes a deep sigh, looking at me with a hurt expression. I can clearly see he doesn't want to even consider a possibility of having to kill me. That thought will always stay with me. Those trees aren't silly. Yes, I know. They're graves or something. You won't bring back the dead by killing the living. He looks at me with a painful expression, almost as if he pitied me my ignorance. Without the name trees, our souls are condemned to the final darkness. We're gone the moment we draw our last breath. Final darkness? Death. So you don't believe in the afterlife? He scoffs, looking at me as if I were a naive child. There is no life after. This world is all there is. Once your light is extinguished, a final darkness falls upon you, and that is that. I cringe at the description, feeling almost familiar with it, as if I lived it, if one can live through death. Well, that's why the trees are so important. They allow us to cheat death, if only for a little while. And you believe that? Well, I know that. You can't know for certain what happens after death. I scoff. I understand the significance of name trees, but it's still just a belief. Killing people because of your faith is wrong, regardless what you believe in. Especially if, according to you, you condemn them to oblivion. He sighs in resignation, looking away from me. Perhaps you'll never understand. An awkward moment of silence falls over us as we sit there uncomfortably. I almost want to laugh at the absurdity of it all. I'm sitting in this strange cabin with a talking wolf, debating afterlife and ethics of capital punishment. At this point I decide to simply roll with the punches. Was it really worth it, going to war? No war is worth the strife it causes. But we did prove our point, and Tigeron left us alone. So far, the tigers seem to be more level-headed in all of this. Maybe. Rannoch shrugs, finally facing me. But it weren't the tigers who got robbed of their land. It's not their people and culture that began vanishing over the centuries. Perhaps that's why they can afford their moral high ground. Beware the wounded wolf. Huh? He looks at me surprised, and I simply shrug. It's just an expression, I think. The wolf laughs awkwardly at the remark. I'm not sure if he took it the right way. The past is the past. No point fretting over it. Maybe. Although someone who can't even remember the day before yesterday can perfectly understand the need to hold on to the past, or whatever's left of it. I pull my knees up onto the chair, wrapping my arms around them. I can also see your point. We cannot change the past, and it shouldn't define us. At the end of the day, I'm still here, for the most part. I don't know if my memory's all that important in the grand scheme of things. All I really want to do now is to move forward. I don't want to be a kid lost in a cabin in the woods forever. Yeah. He smiles, looking at me with an almost proud expression. And neither should my people. Which is what we essentially are, a bunch of wolves stuck inside their cabins in the woods. The only way to move forward for them is to join the other kin in their endeavour. That's what I want to do as chief. He pumps out his chest with a proud expression which draws a smile from me. It's nice to see someone so determined and confident, someone who has their life and goals all figured out. I think it's good policy. Oh? United we stand, divided we fall. He narrows his brows with a cheeky smile. Well, look at you, quoting wisdom out of nowhere like a shaman. I laugh. I have no idea where all of this comes from. My mind is as blank as it was, but there are echoes of things coming to me at just the right moments. Perhaps I am one? I joke, drawing a laugh from the wolf. He bops me with his shoulder and I chuckle, glad the tension between us dissipated. I'm not even sure what caused it in the first place. That anger I felt came out of nowhere. Anyway, in order to achieve all that, I actually need to see what's happening beyond our borders. If I want to unite my tribe with the rest of Avalon, I need to see what Avalon became. And I can start this quest by bringing you home. I smiled, seeing him so serious. I cannot help but ruin the moment. So, in a way, you simply see me as your ticket out of here. A ticket? He blinks as the silence settles. It's clear he doesn't understand the word. Fuck. Do I? An excuse? I propose, and he thinks it over, eventually nodding reluctantly. Oh yes, in a way I do. But there's more to that. I asked the ancestors for a path. A path other than what the tribe would normally allow me. A path that would lead me to places none of our wolves ever visited before. And then I found you. He smiles, placing a paw on my hand. A human, with no humans around for thousands of miles. At that moment I knew. You are the path I wished for. Not only did the ancestors answer my prayer, they also gave me a sign that my plan for our tribe has their full support. And the first step on my journey to become a worthy chief is to deliver you back to your own people. I look away at the window, lost in thought. This explains a lot of his behaviour, why he's so familiar and friendly, but I remain unconvinced. Sure, all of this is quite a coincidence, but at the same time, I'm not a path. I'm just a lost person in the woods or just asleep and waiting to finally wake up. Well, I'm glad it's you who found me. I truly am. Had it been Volgar, I'd not be sitting here having this conversation, that's for sure. I still don't agree I am a path, but at least I understand what you want your path to be. And I will gladly walk it with you. I smile, happy know I'll have him as a companion on my way home. If I remember where home is. You'll never go back. My heart sinks to my stomach as the feeling of utter defeat overtakes me. What is it? The wolf asks with concern, seeing my sudden mood swing. I'm just worried. He smiles at me, ruffling my hair. First, we need to get your memories back. In the meantime, just enjoy yourself. Granted, you're nice and all. I can't enjoy myself and I feel as if I was born yesterday. I grumble, looking down at the food, slightly resigned. Well, that's because you're not allowing yourself to. Stressing over this won't make it go away any faster. His paw reaches up to my chin, lifting it up so I meet his eyes. You lost your memory. Nothing can be done about that. And I... He grimaces in a playful way. Well, I broke our laws by bringing you here. And can't change that either. Those things are beyond our control now. But we can control how we deal with them. From now on, things can only get clearer. Isn't it all exciting? He grins, voice full of confidence and pure thrill. I can hear his tail swings widen, brushing every few moments against the chair. And just like that, the odd feeling of dread that held me down is simply banished, gone without a trace. I sigh with a thankful smile. I guess you're right. Well, of course I am. He laughs. A week ago I was just going about my boring daily life, and now I'm having breakfast with a human. He leans in. What are the odds? His teasing whisper draws a reluctant laugh from me. A week ago? What a concept. Oh, just think about it. What did your compass tell you? I pause to really consult my inner feelings. Even though I don't remember my life, I know it was nowhere near as crazy as this. I finally reply with a chuckle. See, well, that's a good thing, right? I finally nod through a smile, eating up another piece of yolk bread. I guess this is an adventure of sorts, something out of the ordinary, and if that's the case, I'm glad to share it with him. Somehow this wolf makes me feel as if I could face anything, as long as I have him at my side. Also, his reaction suggests to me he was rather lonely before I showed up. He pretty much revels in my company, despite me not being the easiest of guests, or cheeriest of people. Then again, from what I heard so far, I can't blame him. Their lifestyle feels more like something suited for a penal colony than anything else. No wonder he finds my company so enticing. We continue eating our meal in silence for a while. Rannoch clearly just enjoying himself, I contemplate this whole situation. I realise that the shadow that stalks the recesses of my mind isn't even there when the wolf is around. It's almost as if Rannoch banishes it completely. He has his uncanny ability to calm me down, even if it doesn't make any sense. It's a very comforting thought. Thank you, again, for saving me. Oh, don't mention it. I nod quietly. I don't think he quite realizes what I meant. He saved me in more than just one way. Without him, I don't think I'd be able to deal with all of this as well as I do. I recline comfortably into the chair, just enjoying the warmth of the hearth, but it doesn't last too long. Rannoch, it's me. Get decent. We can hear Verissa's muffled voice from behind the door. I look at the male, confused. Did she also walk on him in the past? What's your cue? Hide. Oh. I nod in understanding and rush back into the bedroom. I close the doors behind me, putting my ear against the wooden planks. Come in. I hear Verissa enter the cabin, accompanied by a set of heavy footsteps. I assume it's full. The sound of the other doors closing barely reaches my ear when I'm pushed away, the force of the bedroom doors swinging open. I'm squished into the wall, struggling to keep the doors from crushing me. Oh, where is he? Here, I mutter as the doors pull away from me. I can see Verissa looking at me with an impatient gaze, holding some sort of small wooden container. Oh, what are you doing? I was hiding. What a fine job you did of it. She scoffs, waiting for Rannoch to join us. As he closes the doors behind him, he regards his friends with an expectant gaze. Well, what is the plan? As much as I hate it, we are going to follow your initial idea. What? The wolf blinks and I share his confusion, more so since I can see a barely contained smirk behind Vulgar's stone-cold expression. I thought you said the whole sanctuary thing was a wash. Yes, but there are two things we can do to make it less so. What things? You're going to love it. Finally, the black male allows the smirk to stretch across his muzzle. And settles me a lot. Oh, stop being cryptic and simply spill it out already. Verissa doesn't say a word, clearly not comfortable with whatever they had come up with. I can see Vul's gaze drill into me, and he narrows his eyes. It finally dawns on me. Oh no. Wait, you said only gravely wounded can... I cut off as Vulgar arches his brow in a satisfied smile. Mm-hmm. We need to fix this little lapse in our argument. I feel my heart sink to my stomach and automatically move towards the bed to sit down on it. I hear a growl brewing inside Rannoch's throat. His hackles rise as he widens his stance. You're not suggesting what I think you're suggesting. Spare me the theatrics. You asked for my help and here it is. She looks at me with a calm, calculative gaze. I knew it was our only way forward yesterday. However, I first had to commune with the spirits to make sure I'm not making a mistake. And this is what you came up with? I jump as he spits out in anger, snarling at the other wolves. Well, it's right, your high's a fucking kite. I hear a melodic growl rise from the female. She only gives Rannoch a side-eye. Watch it. She utters softly through her fangs. It's either this or the human gets killed. I will not allow it. Then we will report you to the chief and simply end this madness. The female waves a paw dismissively. I cannot help you if you're not willing to listen. I try to contain involuntary shivers rocking my body as my heart races through my chest. They aren't here to discuss options. It's an ultimatum. I can see Rannoch getting more and more rattled and I want to avoid another brawl. Rannoch. I struggle to speak through my clenched throat. It's fine. I try to reassure him, but the wolf doesn't pay me any mind. The fuck it is. Even he understands. Vulgar nods to me. Since it's the human's life on the line, perhaps he should have the final say. The black male looks at me expectantly and I freeze. What they want me to say? I don't mind getting hurt. I struggle with responding, my lips trembling. Don't say a word. Rannoch commands and I straighten up like a scolded child. He's looking at the white female with anger. What was the point of you even communing with the spirits? He asks mockingly as if doubting she even did it. Because we're about to lie in the face of our ancestors. Even if we hurt the human to make him look wounded, it will be a lie because he wasn't wounded when you brought him here. Well, what? They agreed? I told you that mutilating him is a great idea. He continues to snarl, and I can see this whole concept doesn't sit well with him, almost as much as it doesn't sit well with me. But at the end of the day, it's me who has to suffer, and if it's a choice between death and getting them in trouble, or following whatever scheme this female cooked up, I don't know. I'm so conflicted. The ancestors didn't say anything, which I simply take as a lack of their objection.
Oh, conveniently.
Even now, Vol cannot help himself. His indifference and calm demeanour somehow helps me steel myself and I stand up. Okay. They all regard me with surprise, Ronok more so than the others. Let's do it. I can't believe I'm actually saying this.
You're not serious.
I am. I look at him sternly. I appreciate his protectiveness, however, it doesn't help us here. If it's the only way. I look to Verissa as she winces in discomfort. Trust me, if there was another. I know. I nod. I believe she would not have suggested this if she had a better idea. After all, she's pretty adamant that she saves lives, not endangers them. I approach the white she-wolf with a reluctant step, stopping just a few paces away from her. So, what are we talking about? I look at their serious muzzles one by one. One of you will maul me? Volgo stifles a chuckle, looking at me with a half smirk.
You like that, wouldn't you, Piglet? Oh, shut up!
Rannoch growls again, forcing me to place a hand on his rattled chest.
Sam, this is...
I move my hand to his muzzle, cutting him off. His outbursts aren't helping, I want this to be over with. So what then? Verissa looks at Volgo, pulls out his dagger, presenting it to her. I grimace, seeing its sharp tip glistening in the sun. You're going to stab me? I look at the she-wolf with a worried expression. I'm not. I don't have enough experience to not actually hurt you. And as a shaman, I took an oath.
So did he. I'm sure as fuck not going to do it.
I didn't ask you. Vol is the only one who can do it safely. The black male regards Verissa with a slight discomfort.
Well, I did swear on my moonstone not to hurt the human.
The point here is to do the exact opposite, to make it look bad, while it being nothing more than a flesh wound. You're not going to be hurting the human, you'll be saving his life.
You're playing semantics. Ha, now it bothers you.
He snorts. I think this will hurt me no matter how you'll dress it in words. I mutter with resignation, glancing to Volgo. The black male is quite calm, his expression not entirely cold and almost sympathetic. Or perhaps I'm just seeing what I want to see.
No, he cannot be the one to do it. He gets carried away way too easily.
Rannoch, you're obviously too emotionally involved in this. You'll either botch it up or make a completely unconvincing scrape. Vol is not only our best fighter, he's also an experienced butcher. I blink, shuddering at the second epithet. And that's better how?
Because I know how to push the blade without damaging any of your innards. No!
The grey wolf protests, but the female locks her gaze with mine. I'd say it's only fair for the human to decide.
Sam, if you really agree to go through with this madness, at least let me do it.
I look at Rannoch's desperate expression, worried about the choice I'm presented with. I know the grey wolf means well, I inexplicably trust him with my life, but at the same time, I don't know if I could look at him the same way if he were to be the one to stab me. So far as the anchor that allows me to stay calm and grounded. I don't want to lose that safe haven I have with him. Then I look to Volgo, who simply raises his brow expectantly. Can I really trust this brute not to go overboard? Immediately the image of his snarling snout flashes through my mind as he hangs above, squeezing the life out of me. I cringe, ominous feel of dread filling my mind again. His blade will taste my flesh after all. The question is, whose paw will guide it?
Damn it all to hell.
I'd rather Volgo do it.
Sam,
I approach the grey wolf with an apologetic gaze. I can see he's taken it the wrong way, that he feels I don't trust him. I gently touch the side of his muzzle, petting him reassuringly. I don't want to associate you with being stabbed. He narrows his eyes, looking at me unconvinced. You already choked me. What's one stabbing going to change? I try to make him laugh, but he simply looks away. Volgor is the one who chuckles at the remark, causing Rannoch to idly growl.
Well, this is fucked up.
I laugh nervously. You only notice this now? Things have been crazy around you ever since I woke up. He sighs, looking at me with sad eyes.
I'll make it up to you, I promise.
I know you will. Or that he will at least try. I'm not sure one can make up for a stabbing. Rannoch pushes past me and squares off with Volgor, looking at the male right in his eyes.
If you fuck this up... Relax, the kid made the right choice and you know it.
Have I, though? I feel a black paw land on my shoulder, drawing my attention to the larger male. I grimace as Volgor winks at me.
Hey, the moonshine, gotta do this right.
Rannoch nods reluctantly and disappears into the other room. He returns shortly with a clay bottle in his paws. The grey wolf removes the cork with his teeth, causing a hollow popping sound. I can feel a boozy smell from where I stand as he passes the bottle to Volgor.
Here.
The black male pushes the bottle towards me and look at him with confusion.
Take a deep, long gulp.
He says almost indifferently, and I grimace. Smell's making me woozy. This is some other level shit. But I am about to be stabbed. I reluctantly look to the blade tucked behind Volgor's belt and swallow heavily. I sigh and quickly push the bottle to my lips.
Pour it straight to the back of the throat. Do not even try to taste it.
He gives the advice just before I tilt my head back. I try to let the liquid wash over my mouth, but the burning sensation hits me within just a second. I cough like a drowning man, spitting out some of the alcohol along the way. The black wolf scoffs with amusement, quickly pushing the bottle back to my face.
You seriously need to take more than that. Trust me.
I nod, taking another deep breath. The smell of this concoction makes my head spin, and it takes me a few more moments to muster the courage. I try again to swallow as much of the burning substance as I can. I manage to take 2 long gulps when my stomach threatens to evacuate its contents. I smack my lips as I push the bottle away, taking a few rattled breaths.
Fuck, it's disgusting.
Volgor takes the bottle away from me and pulls his dagger out. I look at it reluctantly, seeing as the wolf douses it with moonshine. He passes the blade to Rannoch to hold for a moment, while he approaches me and touches my makeshift toga. I feel very awkward about this brute undressing me. When I hear the linen fall to the ground, that sensation is empowered. I don't know if the booze already hitting me, but I feel flushed, and despite the cold air, my face is burning hot. Wolf simply picks up a corner of the linen and soaks it with alcohol, gently rubbing and cleaning my left side with a damp cloth. This is where he means to stab me. I feel my heart race, my breath rattle, my vision blur. I can see he knows what he's doing, but...
It's going to be okay.
He whispers softly, obviously picking up on my increasing heart rate.
I made a promise, didn't I?
He looks at me, holding up his moonstone to my face. I cannot be sure if I'm not imagining it, but I can see a subtle, reassuring smile on his muzzle. I take a deep breath, seeing as he retrieves his blade from Rannoch. The grey wolf has a worried expression, with the ears folded back and his tail tucked. I'll be fine. I mutter towards Rannoch and nods reluctantly. It's almost funny that I tried to reassure him just before getting stabbed. I feel the black wolf grab my shoulder and stumble back in slight panic. Shall we wait for the booze to kick in?
It'll kick in when needed.
His large muscular arm swoops behind me, pulling me into an awkward half-embrace.
Do you want a gag?
Yes, softly, but I shake my head. I remember what he used last time. Besides, I feel like the gag would only make this whole experience much more terrifying.
You cannot scream.
I nod nervously.
Okay then, rest yourself against me and do not move.
I sigh and push my body against his form. It almost feels like leaning against a wall covered with fur, each of his muscles hard like a brick. His left paw holds my back, pressing me harder into his torso as I rest my head upon his chest. The first time I get close enough to feel his scent, he smells of tree bark and earth. A very manly smell, to be sure. I can hear his heartbeat, slow and steady, almost as if he was sleeping. Not a hint of stress or hesitation, and it allows me to steel myself for what's to come. I shudder as the tip of the blade gently pricks my left side just above the hip, as Volgar aligns his dagger with my body.
It's okay, don't look at it,
he says, drawing my gaze upwards to his muzzle.
That's it, look at me.
My eyes swell as I gaze into his blood-red irises. Time seems to stop as I hear my breath echo, almost as if everything came to a halt. In a split second, I feel a hard, wet punch to my side with a cold metal handle pressing against my skin. I gasp, not even registering much pain at first. It only stings, and I hold my breath in disbelief, seeing the blade disappear into my flesh up to the hilt. Shh. I close my eyes, causing the tears to flow freely. I can feel him push me harder into his body as I begin to shiver. Then the gasps turn into screams as he pulls the blade out of my body. My legs go soft and I fully rest in Volgar's embrace. I hear the knife clang to the floor as the black wall prevents me from falling. He covers my mouth with his paw, and another set reaches out to me from behind. Shh.
Sam.
It's pain like I've never felt before, radiating from the wound and shifting rapidly between sharp, painful twinges and dull, hammer-like pounding. Volgar shushes me while I try to contain my wailing. I keep hyperventilating with his paw still covering my mouth. I open my eyes, meeting their worried gazes. I try to reach my throbbing side, but Verissa quickly rushes in and pushes my hand away. Don't touch it! She scolds me, carefully inspecting the wound. I just look at the ceiling, regarding the same planks I looked at the night before. I close my eyes again, crying out another surge of agony, severe pain radiating from within the wound. It's fine. It's deep, but almost no bleeding.
Push it between the skin and muscle.
Right, get him onto the bed. I always thought people pass out when something like this happens. No matter how distressed I am or how much pain I'm in, I cannot faint. My mind is clear and sharp, though everything seems to happen in slow motion. I feel as if I levitate, drifting lifelessly across the room. I see them move me onto the bed, with Verissa dousing my wound with the moonshine. It stings like hell, but it's just a minor inconvenience compared to the agony my entire left side is in. Then the female opens her little container, dipping a paw into what looks like some sort of ointment. She rubs it generously onto my wound, saying something to the others, but now I only hear muffled sounds. My vision begins to blur, just as I notice Rannoch's sorrowful expression appear above me. I reach out to him, but I feel an odd weakness overtake me. Just as my hand is about to drop back to the bed, he grabs it, kneeling next to me.
It's okay. I'm here.
I hear his voice echo as if we're in a cave. I'm sorry he has to see this. His distress, clearly visible, makes this so much worse. The room spins a little and I feel like vomiting. The female begins to cover my side with bandages, however my head gets increasingly heavy. I think the booze began to hit me, and the pain, although still great, begins to dull out. My eyes are hot and dry. I need to close them for just a moment, to give them rest. Their muffled conversation begins to fade, as eventually I just let go and drift away. There's no more pain. My eyes open to the wooden ceiling, a familiar knotted plank just above me. It's clearly night time. The room is dark and cold. So very cold. Despite being covered by several blankets, my entire body shivers and I can hear my teeth chattering. The slight discomfort in my side reminds me of what happened. I was stabbed. I reach to where the blade has penetrated my skin, feeling meticulous dressing covering the wound. I wince under my own touch. The spot's still sore, but surprisingly less so than I expected. A droplet runs across my face all the way from my forehead towards the chin. I'm sweating. Only now I realise I'm a little bit woozy. I feel lightheaded and almost seems as if I'm on a boat. I try to swallow, but can't. My throat is completely dry. Rannoch? I attempt to call out, but only hear a raspy wheeze escape my lips. I struggle to swallow again, looking around the dark room. My eyes lock immediately on a large shadow settled on the coffer in front of the bed. I can't make out what it actually is through my blurry eyes, but the shape fills me with dread. Almost looks like a dark figure sitting there, watching me. Is this another nightmare? Who are you? I demand, but all I manage is a stifled whisper. Cold sweat dots my body, and I feel both freezing and on fire, my eyes burning, forcing me to shut them every few seconds. My muscles ache, and I manage to crawl myself towards the edge of the bed, constantly observing the foreboding shadow on the other side of the room. I need to get out of here. I lean myself over the edge and repeat the same mistake I made the very first moment I woke up in this world. I tumble lifelessly to the floor, and despite how hard I hit the wooden planks, my body is already so much agony the pain does not even register. The shadow springs up in surprise and immediately rushes towards me. I want to scream in terror, but I cannot manage anything other than a hiss.
Sam, what the hell are you doing?
The shadowy figure enters the faint light coming from the outside, and immediately recognise the grey wolf. Its voice draws from me an involuntary smile, as I tear up seeing his muzzle and raise my arms to embrace him.
Fuck, you're burning up again,
he mutters as the world tilts and I'm floating again. I look at him with confusion, but I realise I'm actually in his arms. I try to reach his muzzle. My hand gives up halfway through, so I just lean my head into his breast, taking in the scent of the forest. He carries me back to the bed, resting me gently on the padding. I see his worried expression as he puffs at my pillow.
You don't seem good.
He reaches for something underneath the bed. I can hear slushing of water, and after a moment he places a damp cloth on my forehead. Did you? I want to ask if he sat on that chest all this time, but only rasps painfully, and he pushes his finger towards my lips. Shh. He stands up and walks towards the cupboard, pouring water into a cup. I sigh in relief, seeing that the wolf reads me like an open book. I couldn't ask for a better caregiver. He sits next to me, bringing the cup towards my lips. I strain to lift my head up, clutch onto the cup as the wolf tilts it, and I thirstily swallow deep gulp after another. Once I had my fill, I exhale with satisfaction, looking at him with a grateful smile. He looks back at me with deep concern.
You have a fever?
Yeah. Finally, my voice sounds as it should. I instinctively reach out to the dressing donning my side.
Does it hurt?
Well, less than I thought it would. More than I would like.
Well, let me have a look.
He brushes my hand away, looking closely at the bandages. I furrow my brows. I see him bring his muzzle closer. Wet woven nose twitches as he takes a few deep sniffs.
Oh, no fresh blood.
He sighs with obvious relief, returning to face me. What was that?
Well, I was worried you might have opened it when you fell. Why did you do that?
I thought I saw something. I don't want to tell him I confused him for a demon, not when it's obvious. He was sitting there keeping vigil over me. I've implied being terrified of him way too many times than it's fair towards the male. I can see a wooden bowl on the floor filled with water and a soaked cloth. He was cooling me down throughout the day. You're such a good wolf, I say absent-mindedly, causing him to smile. His tail is swooshing against the bed, and I'm glad I managed to make him feel good about himself. I feel my mind clearing up a little from the delirium, or it makes me only more aware how burning up I am. What time is it? Rannoch looks towards the window, going silent for a moment, clearly seeking something in the night sky outside.
Well, I'd say past midnight.
Was I out all this time?
For the most part.
What do you mean?
You did mumble from time to time.
What did I say? He pauses, looking at me slightly troubled.
Well, I couldn't understand. It was
in a different language. Huh. Sounded like nothing I've ever heard. I tried to think if I dreamt about anything, but my mind is empty. There's nothing there for me to remember, aside from this ever-present feeling of dread in the recesses of my consciousness. Random shivers rocks my body, my teeth clatter loudly. I'm really cold.
Well, I brought all I have.
He points apologetically to the thick bundle of blankets covering me, which I immediately recognise as the ones he used to sleep on in the other room. Those are from your bedding, I say, troubled. And your cloak. I touch the green cape sandwiched between two other blankets.
Oh, it's fine. You need them more than I do.
You were sleeping on the chest.
Well, it's more comfortable than the floor, that's for sure.
He grins and I can't help but feel bad. I gaze at the oversized bed around me. In truth, I look more like a doll in it rather than an actual person. My eyes venture back to the wolf. I don't want him to sleep on the floor or the chest. He's already done so much for me, it doesn't feel right. But this is the only bed, and I feel even without this fever, Rana could object to me sleeping elsewhere, unless... I almost dismissed the thought, for I realised it actually makes sense. It would solve both our problems. I'd be warmer and he wouldn't be sleeping rough. I just need to try not to think about how awkward what I'm about to ask of him is. I muster up my courage. Would you sleep with me? I stumble on the words, realising how they came across. Thankfully, Rannoch only responds with an amused, huh? The bed is large enough for both of us, and I would be much, much warmer. Despite the fever burning me up, I can feel the hot flush on my face.
You sure about this?
He asked, lowering his head to lock his gaze with mine. I mean, only if you wouldn't mind.
Well, normally I would refuse.
He says almost indifferently, which causes my heart to sink. I might have miscalculated.
On account of you being sweaty and all, but then again.
He bites his lip teasingly, perking one fang out. He's messing with me again.
We wouldn't want you getting more ill now, would we?
What? I blink in confusion, to which he only smirks.
Or is it just an excuse to get to bed with me?
I blink again, absolutely thrown off by his tease. You dick, I was stabbed. I poke his shoulder jokingly.
Well, you seem to be feeling better.
Okay, forget that I asked. I huff in feigned annoyance.
Hey, now.
His expression is still slightly mocking, but I can see his ears lower in deference.
I was only joking.
Well, I wasn't. Now you can sleep on the floor for all I care. I scoff teasingly and look away. Rannoch tries to lean into my field of vision, but only turn further away, causing him to eventually click his tongue.
Well, I guess that's only fair.
He stands up and splats himself lazily on the wooden panels in front of me. I cannot help but laugh at his antics and roll my eyes. He's so annoying. He doesn't move, laying flat on the floor and ignoring me. Eventually I pat the bed with my hand. His ears twitch at the sound and he finally looks back at me.
Does that mean I can get my bed back?
He teasingly emphasises his ownership, which makes me chuckle even more. Yes. I concede through a sigh. In a split second, the wolf leaps to his feet through a spectacular backflip, followed by a dive onto the bed itself, making the mattress jump. I laugh, concealing my amazement about how acrobatic this beast really is. He lays splat at my feet, decidedly kicking his hind paws up and down, tail softly wagging in content.
Well, I missed you, baby.
He croons to his bed. Although it's clearly a joke, I feel even guiltier for not suggesting sharing the bed earlier. You're not going to sleep like that, though, are you? I look at him as his head hangs on one side of the bed while his legs dangle from the other.
Yeah, you're right. I was going to double as a blanket, but I think I might crush you.
He takes a deep breath and readjusts his position, laying himself down next to me. It got quite awkward, so I tried not to look at him. I don't think I've shared a bed with a guy before. At least, not like this. I almost scoot further away from him, creating a bit more space between us.
Well, I thought you wanted me to warm you up.
He mutters with a risen brow. I did. I swallow heavily, realising I didn't quite think this through. What I essentially suggested was a snuggling, which, in retrospect, is very, very weird.
Well, aren't you cold?
He looks at my arms with quite focused gaze, causing me to do the same. I am trembling, but at this point I cannot tell if it's my embarrassment or the fever.
Yeah.
He extends his paws towards me, grabbing my shoulders and effectively pulling me into an embrace, solving my dilemma for me. I'm so thankful for the fever, as this way at least my embarrassment is masked. Can't have a blush if you're burning up already. But my fluster quickly melts away, just as I melt in his arms. I allow my head to rest on his upper arm, gazing up at his fluffy chin. He's kind enough not to look at me, instead locking his gaze into the wall behind me, making this whole experience a bit less intense. I rest like this for a moment, almost dozing off as my mind spins violently. I don't know if it's because of his fur or if my fever took a dip, but suddenly I feel really hot.
You're really burning up.
He rubs the sweat off my forehead with his paw, and I just feel extremely embarrassed. I don't like that he sees me this way, all wet and with streaky hair. I can see that my sweat clumped his fur together. It's not how I'd imagine my first time with a guy in bed to go down. I almost laugh at how stupid my train of thought is.
Perhaps I should fetch Verissa,
he says in a worried tone. I immediately look up to him. No, don't.
Sam.
What reason could you possibly have to fetch her at night? Others would suspect something's wrong.
Something is wrong.
He almost growls at me, but quickly cools himself down.
I'm worried about you.
If you go for her, we'll be found out.
Well, I don't care.
He interrupts me with a stern gaze.
You shouldn't have been stabbed in the first place.
If we're found out, all of this would have been for nothing.
No, this doesn't feel right, Sam.
It's okay. I reach up to his muzzle, petting his cheek fluff. He closes his eyes, resting his snout freely into my palm. It's not like I've done this before, but I feel like this is a pretty correct body reaction to being stabbed. I say jokingly, trying to put him at ease. He still doesn't open his eyes, clearly avoiding looking at me. I'm tougher than you think. I try to reassure him, to which a very faint pleading whine escapes his muzzle, quite characteristic for a canine. He's such a dog. I smile in amusement, causing him to look at me with confusion.
What's that supposed to mean?
He sounds almost offended. Nothing. I shake my head. Despite the fever rocking my entire body, I feel quite wonderful just being this close to him. At first, it seemed odd and almost wrong to get so intimate with what is pretty much a beast man, but now that I'm resting in his gentle embrace, nothing could feel more right. I snuggle myself closer, almost burrowing my nose into his chest fluff.
Comfortable?
I croon, just taking in his scent. It almost feels like I'm laying in a meadow, with Rannoch's breath imitating a warm breeze. I'm so comfortable, I don't even notice the rare tremors going through my body every now and then.
You're still shivering,
he says sleepily as he tries to steady me with his other paw. It's fine. I respond, just enjoying his warm hold. I'm perfect. I adjust my head on his muscle. Never would I have guessed that a bicep could make for such a comfy pillow. It gives great support while still being soft enough, not to mention the fur, which just makes all this much cozier. I don't know how long we lay like this. Time ceases to matter as I simply enjoy the moment, till I feel something blunt pressing against my stomach, just below the navel. I pull my head away from his chest, looking down at a visibly expanding bulge between his legs. Despite the pants, I could clearly see the outline of his wolfhood. I mutter, looking at his muzzle with conflicted expression, but he seems fast asleep. I can swear I see his eyes move beneath the eyelids, and his soft snoring sounds almost as if he's faking it, but I decide not to press the issue. I mean, do I really want to have this awkward conversation? Perhaps he just can't help it, like a sort of night version of the morning wood. Better leave this forgotten and unspoken, even though it does feel almost flattering. I nestle my head back into his biceps, feeling his breath again brush my forehead, and doing everything I can to ignore his hard-on pushing against my underbelly. I lay like this for some time, struggling to fall asleep between occasional shivers and cold sweats. The calm rhythm of his expanding chest sways me back and forth, as if I were in a furry cradle. It slowly lulls me, and eventually I manage to doze off. I wake up feeling almost glued to the damp bedding and covered in wet fur, my face smothered deep inside of Rannoch's waterlogged neck fluff. It is clearly day as the entire room is flooded with bright light. There's not a dry spot on my entire body, as if I took a bath and simply forgot to dry off. I want to push away, only to realise that Rannoch has rolled over onto me during the night and I'm half crushed beneath him. I try to wriggle myself out, but it's pointless. His massive arm and leg wrap around me, holding me securely in place while his torso simply pushes me deeper into the bed. It must weigh a fucking ton. But it's not what I actually mind. Being beneath him like this is almost nice, if not for my glistening skin and the ever-present sogginess. I think that even without my fever I'd have been drenched in sweat, as sleeping like this is pretty much akin to going to bed in a freaking fur coat. I actually noticed my fever is gone. I look back to the still sleeping wolf. His soft snoring makes me reluctant from waking him up, but he doesn't react to my gentle nudges, and I start to feel a little bit claustrophobic. I rub my eyes with the excess moisture, only to grimace at the scent. I smell like dog breath. I quickly sniff my hands, realising it's saliva. Rannoch has been drooling right onto my forehead during the night. The push I need to shake off his charm and finally elbow in one of the ribs. What? He snorts, raising up his head and finally allowing me to breathe freely. I take a deep gasp, enjoying fresh air free of our joint musk. Suddenly I freeze up, feeling as the male grinds softly against me, his actual morning wood pressing rhythmically into my groin. What the f... I look at him wide-eyed. He's still half asleep, pulling me tighter underneath him, straddling me like one would straddle a crumpled-up duvet. He yawns, opening up his massive jaw, tongue dangling out in a goofy fashion. I feel his entire body tenses up, all the muscles tightening around me in a groggy stretch. His flexing makes me blush hard, as I feel his powerful form glide against my tiny body. Rannoch? Another stab into my groin, this time his wolf hood poking right into my balls.
Rannoch!
Huh? He pushes me up with his paws, looking down at me flanked between them.
Oh, Sam.
He blinks, allowing himself one final absent-minded thrust, causing me to wince in complete humiliation.
Fuck!
The wolf jumps off the bed, stumbling onto the floor and landing on his rump with a loud thud.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
He yelps, quickly covering a clear erection with his paws. I don't even move, feeling as if I was trying to avoid a T-Rex. If I don't move, maybe he'll just go away. Fuck, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to even acknowledge this. Oh no. Only now I register the tingling in my groin and how tight my loincloth got. I'm hard as well. I roll over onto my belly, hiding my face in the wet pillow. Why is this happening?
I
can hear him struggle to vocalise as he sneaks towards the door.
I'll be in the other room.
The doors creak and then I hear them shut. Fuck. I might have lost my memory, but I know I've never been so mortified in my life. Not only we got way too intimate, I'm basically all wet and stinking. What a horrible first impression to make. You don't share a bed with a hot stranger when ill. Wait, what? What the fuck am I even thinking? What is wrong with me? I slam my head repeatedly into the pillow, causing wet slapping sounds which immediately make me cringe. That's not what it sounds like! There's a screech of wood accompanied by a clatter of falling objects coming from the next room. It almost sounds as if Rannoch flipped the table over, the thought making me flinch a bit. You okay?
Oh, fine.
He shouts out immediately, a hint of anger clear in his voice. I can hear him hastily readjust whatever it was he tripped over.
I'll go get the water.
He mutters and leaves the house in a hurry. I smile reluctantly, taking some comfort from the fact he's as much embarrassed by this as I am. On the subject of water, I really do need to figure out a way to wash myself properly. I reek. Whatever was going on with me throughout the night, my body burned it off like a supernova. I decide to get out of the waterlogged bed and take a stretch. Oddly enough, I feel quite well. I even touch my side, rubbing and pushing against it, trying to ascertain if I'm healing well. There's not much pain, maybe a little discomfort, but that's about it. I guess Vol really knew what he was doing. If the plan hinges on me being gravely wounded, I think I'll have to spice it up a bit. I mean, I might have a wound now, but I still need to sell it as something serious. It certainly doesn't feel like it. I really hope it won't leave a nasty scar, though. Worst case scenario, I'll have something to remember this misadventure by. The wolf returned to the cabin, and I struggled for a while to face him, but eventually I opened the doors separating the rooms. He sits slumped in a chair, looking spooked at me, almost as if surprised to see me at all. I can see his ears go red as they fall back in discomfort. I'm so taken by his reaction I completely ignore the fact how flustered I must look myself, my face burning and my mind desperately wanting to just run away and hide. But we cannot let something stupid as this get in the way of what's important. As far as I understand, today is the day I'm finally introduced to the tribe. As much as I trust Verissa knows what she's doing, it's still a bit of a gamble. I don't want my potential last moment with Rannoch to be this awkwardness. Hey. I speak up to a smile. I want him to know everything's fine between us. I mean, he was sleeping after all. No foul, at least not the way I look at it. But Rannoch turns his gaze away, his muzzle twisting down in a troubled expression, eyes shut tight in discomfort. I approach him slowly, placing my hand on his furry shoulder. Want some breakfast?
Oh, I'm sorry.
He interrupts me, brushing my hand off and avoiding eye contact.
You must feel pretty disgusted.
Me? I basically drenched you in my sweat. If anyone should be
You know what I mean.
He looks at me sternly and I cut the act. I do, but I don't mind. I answer without thinking, causing his ears to perk up. He didn't expect that answer, that's clear in his shocked expression. It's kind of funny. I try to laugh it off and not dwell on the subject.
Well, I'm not like that.
He gives me another serious look. Like what?
Well, I don't want you to think I'm defective.
There's that word again. He says with a hint of disgust in his voice, and I pull away. My body moves on its own, taking a few more steps back. I almost feel like I swallowed a stone. Why'd you say something like that? I sound hurt because for whatever reason it hurts to hear him say it. He doesn't look at me, locking his gaze back into the distance. Eventually he breaks the silence.
Oh, how's your wound?
Oh, it's fine. Doesn't even hurt that much.
Oh, good. Well, I'll go to the bedroom so you can properly wash up.
He mutters, standing up and walking past me. Seems he's moved on from a little accident, but not in a direction I expected or wanted. I guess I should keep my defect to myself then. No point risking losing a guardian over it. His sudden cold demeanour feels like a punch into my gut and I get incredibly angry. Just a plaything. So that's it? He's making me feel special and safe, being incredibly intimate, feeding me up and flirting just to call it defective? What the fuck? I want to shout at him in anger, but I manage to rein myself in. My mood suddenly shifted into an extreme for little to no reason. It's been happening a lot lately. I feel like I'm not entirely in control of my own emotions. I need to keep my wits about it. I don't want to come across as hysterical. It's just adrenaline. I woke up here in this fucking small cabin, forced to interact with that stranger. Stressful situation, dependence and proximity. There's nothing more to it. I'm just being silly. I sigh in resignation as he closes the door behind him. I approach the cupboard where the water bowl rests and begin cleaning myself up inch by inch. This doesn't seem very hygienic though, as I'm covered in sweat. Plain water won't do. I need some soap. I call out in annoyance, still rattled by our exchange.
Does this look like a palace to you?
He snorts cheekily. There's no hint of malice in his words. I really stink. I need to wash properly.
Well, use the ash.
Ash? I scoff at the closed door, knowing full well he stands right behind them. This is the most absurd thing I've heard in a while. I look back at the hearth where next to it stands a bucket filled with soot. I approach it with hands resting on my hips, looking at it dumbfounded. What am I supposed to do with this?
We'll use a damp cloth to rub it into the skin, then wash it off.
I sigh, rolling my eyes. It's like a shitty camping trip out of a nightmare. However sceptical I was, the ash proves amazingly effective in removing the grime from my skin. In truth, it makes me feel almost as if I washed myself with a bar of soap, leaving my skin silky and smooth without a trace of sweaty oil. It even got rid of the musky smell, leaving behind a subtle, earthy aroma. Huh, you always learn. I take full advantage of privacy granted me by Rannoch and wash my entire body. I'm reluctant at first to use the ash on my hair, but at the same time nothing can be worse than how sticky and smelly it is. And again, to my surprise, it feels rather great after washing up. Once I'm done, I dry myself off. Where'd you have fresh towel things you tie around your... you know?
Well, there should be some in the cupboard.
I open the top drawer to find a bundle of loincloths there and reverse engineer the way it's supposed to be fashioned to my body. Once I'm satisfied with my handiwork, I approach the door and knock, let him know it's okay to enter. I brush the loincloth idly, straightening it out with a chuckle. I feel like Mowgli. Wait, what? Who the fuck is Mowgli?
Oh, good. Now, if you excuse me, I need to get myself new water.
Yeah, of course. I let him pass and return to the bedroom. He is still cold and distant, and it doesn't sit well with me, but I don't want to press it further. I close the door behind, looking at the bed which is now stripped of all the linen and blankets. Rannoch took them off and bundled them together in the corner of the room. I guess sleeping in that swamp was not really an option anymore. Once I'm allowed to show myself in public, I will help do the wash-up. It's the least I can do. I approach the window to look at the woods outside. It's a beautiful day and the singing birds lift up my spirit. However, I quickly frown, taking a deep sniff of the forest air. It reminds me so much of him. I don't think I'll ever be able to go out camping again without getting sad or pining over that stupid wolf.
I'm going to wash now. Don't enter.
I hear him call out from the kitchen. Okay. I lean into the ledge, just watching the wind gently ruffle the woodland canopy. I really hope Verissa will sort out this mess today. I need to get out of this room. Shadow moves in the bushes and I immediately duck. I look up from underneath the ledge, but I can't see anyone out there. Perhaps it's a wild animal. As bizarre as it sounds, what sort of animal would wander near a village full of sapient wolves? I finally straighten up, looking back at the woods in front of me, only to freeze up. It's a small wolf child looking right at me. A grey pup. Fuck. I want to wave at him, but the kid bolts into the bushes, exactly where I thought I saw a shadow move earlier. I can hear my pounding heart going to panic. What do? I start moving towards the doors to warn Rannoch, but I stop in my tracks as loud banging rings across the entire cottage.
Oh, Rannoch! Oh, father!
Fuck, there's no way that kid ratted me out already. There's no time for that. What to do?
Oh, I'm washing up. Just give me a moment.
I hear Rannoch's padding towards the bedroom and he quickly opens the door, almost kicking them out with me.
Hide!
He whispers, all I can do is stare at his naked groin, looking directly at what he's poking with me with just a few moments ago.
Now!
He emphasizes the urgency through a soft growl and I finally snap out of my trance. I look around the room in panic. Where?
Into the chest.
He hastily throws the coffer open and pulls me towards it.
Wait, what?
I gaze inside with worry, seeing his padded armour alongside crumpled clothes and what looks like two sheathed swords. There's enough space for me to get in, but it would be a tight fit. Before I manage to raise my objections, he shoves me inside and slams the cover shut. I impale myself on a scabbard stuck in an upright position. The dull tip sinks right into my left butt cheek, causing me to cringe in pain. God, I want to scream, covering my mouth with both hands. It feels as if my muscle got split in half, but I maintain an iron grip on my vocals. I stabilise my breath, pushing the sheath away with annoyance and listening to the conversation in the other room.
Open the damn door! Alright. Let me get my pants on. Why aren't you fully dressed? It's almost noon. I overslept. Oh, it's unlike you. You missed the morning patrol. I had to send the pack without you.
I'm stuck in an awkward squat, pushing my chest deep into my knees. I cannot sit down to send another wave of pain from my still throbbing butt. My legs go numb and I wonder how long I'll be able to stay cooped up like this.
Well, I'm sorry. I had a lot on my mind.
So I've heard. People say you've been meeting up with Volgar and Verissa quite often during my absence. Care to enlighten me on what it is you three had to discuss in secret?
Well, nothing.
Tano seems to be leaving you sneaking food into your home.
I hear the bedroom door open as the wolves walk in, and for a moment I consider trying to catch a glimpse through the small crack, but I know better. Fuck, I forgot about the meat Vol brought me the other night. Still on the dresser, completely in the open.
Well, it seems he wasn't wrong.
Of course the old male notices it. Fuck, I'm so stupid.
Smells like a wet dog in here.
Also smells like one inside the chest. Most of the clothes here reek of Rannoch's sweat. He must be treating it like his laundry basket, his musk virtually enveloping me. I hold my breath as the steps approach where the clump of bedding lays on the floor.
Were you ill? Is that the reason you didn't go out hunting with me?
Aye.
You can tell me, son. I might be your chief, but I am first and foremost your father.
Aye, I was feeling a bit under the weather, but Verissa took care of it. As for the food...
If that's the case, it doesn't matter.
The older wolf interrupts him.
What matters is that you're fine now.
I can hear the wolves embrace, the father patting his son hard on the back, drawing an amused grunt from the younger male. It's almost a tender moment. The chief might be stern, but seems genuinely concerned with his son.
Why have you dismissed Trist? Did he offend you somehow, or was he simply too lazy?
No, none of that. It's just a small cabin, and having him around all the time was getting a bit tiresome. God, get on with it. My legs begin to cramp up.
You can always move back into the villa. I never understood why you insisted on building this hovel.
Wait, did Rannoch build his house? How much more impressive can this guy get? Well, I'm of age. Moving out was expected of me. Well, I don't want to give Tano any more reasons to.
Let me worry about Tano.
That name again.
Right, get ready. Verissa called a meeting.
Did she? Rannoch voices my own surprise. Indeed, did she? Funny she forgot to let us know about it. Come to think of it, she didn't even check on us in the morning. I was burning up the entire night. What if I was in no condition to be paraded around?
Finish up washing and join us near the fire.
I stayed there a few more moments to make sure the older male finally left. Once I hear the outer door close, I burst out of the chest like a jack-in-a-box, grabbing my butt and trying to massage the sore spot. The grey wolf enters, relief clearly painted across his muzzle. Well, that was close. Too close. Yeah, quite. I try to get out of the chest as Rannoch approaches me to lend his paw. I'm glad to see his gentlemanly side again, hoping the abruptness and coldness he showed earlier were just that. A show. Well, good thing we slept together. You're pretty much covered in my scent. Otherwise he'd sniff you out. I washed, remember? If I'm covered in your scent, it's because you forced me to hide with your dirty laundry. He looks at me with the bemused expressions I keep kneading my butt cheek. Well, what is it? You kind of impaled me with your sheath. The wolf snorts, barely containing a laugh. What? I wasn't anywhere near your rear. He grins teasingly, but I didn't quite get the joke. I know that. I meant your sword thingy. You pushed me right onto it. I point to the scabbard inside the chest. Oh. Why? What did you think I meant? Well, I thought you were talking about a different kind of sheath. He winks and I furrow my brow. I don't get it. Never mind. He shakes his head with a hearty laughter. Although I'm oblivious to what he means, I get there is some sort of innuendo here. I'm glad, though. I prefer him taking the morning incident into stride and getting all serious again and talking about being broken. Who's Trist? I ask absent-mindedly as the name caught my attention. Well, he used to be my attendant. As in, what, a servant? Kinda. No wonder you got rid of him. This house is filthy. Well, I didn't want him to do any cleaning, and the reason why I had to get rid of him is standing before me. He smirks at me challengingly, and I cringe at the revelation. I don't feel good knowing someone lost a job because of me. Oh, sorry. Oh, don't be. I couldn't have taken any chances. He dismisses me with a paw. Right, so what do we do now? Well, I guess you need to stay here while I go to the meeting. I'll see what Verissa came up with. I see him frown, eyes clearly filled with worry. It's a bit troubling we didn't hear from her since yesterday. Yeah, I thought about that as well. A moment of silence fills the room, as neither of us knows what to say. Both of us bury deep into our own thoughts when a loud banging shakes the cottage again. His father's back, but this time his voice is much, much different. Rannoch! The old male practically roars. Fuck, the pup. I'd completely forgotten about him. We don't even get a chance to move when the bedroom doors fly wide open, with the chief charging in with a murderous gaze in his eyes. He immediately locks on me. Within a blink of the eye, I'm already pinned to the wall, large clawed paw clenching around my throat. Father! I winced my eyes shut, the massive dark grey muzzle twisting a vicious snarl just an inch from me.
What in the name of the moon have you done?
The older man growls, causing me to shiver.
Father, let me explain.
Rannoch tries to intervene, but his father swats him away with a single paw, almost as if the grey wolf weighed nothing.
What possible explanation can you have for sheltering this mongrel?
Rannoch tries to get up, but two other wolves rush into the room, pinning him down to the floor. The grey wolf is forced to kneel there, his arms twisted backwards by the very rough guards. He's looking at us with desperation. The chief lifts me off the floor and I begin to feel the neck-breaking weight of my entire lower body. I gasp loudly, struggling for air.
Father, stop!
Rannoch's voice becomes more frantic, mixed between yelping and growling.
Get that idiot out of here. I'll deal with this intruder.
No!
I can see the wolves lift Rannoch up. That's when his shoulder charges one of them into the cupboard, putting himself free of their hold. Within a second he closes the distance between us. As he's about to wrestle with his father, a large shadow throws him to the ground. It was the other guard who now pins Rannoch and pushes his muzzle into the floor. The room fills with the sounds of struggle. Growls and huffs send him into a panic. My mind stirs, however, as I hear a metallic clink of a sword. I can see the chief point his blade right beneath my ribcage.
No! You're making a mistake!
I'm fixing one.
I feel the cold metal make contact with my skin, and the tip sinks slightly into my flesh, drawing the first drop of blood. I know she said not to say anything, but fuck the plan. It already went to shit. Sanctuary! I struggle to speak through my again crushed vocal cords.
What?
Law of Sylvan.
I manage when suddenly the stranglehold on my throat releases completely. I drop to my knees, coughing and rasping for air while the chief stumbles back in a mix of confusion and terror. He looks as if he's seen a ghost. Reaction so familiar at this point, it does not faze me. I just try to catch my breath, locking gaze with Rannoch, who's still being pinned to the wooden floor. The male guards above him are rougher than they need to be, as the wolf stops struggling the moment I was released.
How's it speaking our language?
Verissa. I rasp, trying to give Rannoch a cue to save whatever we can from Until Secret.
He only knows those few words. Verissa taught him in case he was found prematurely.
The older wolf regards his son with utter horror in his eyes.
Verissa knows about this?
It wasn't me she was treating. It was the human. He's wounded.
Have you both lost your damn minds?
The chief looks at the bandages around my side. It makes me aware that something's not quite right. I feel warmth there, and as I touch the dressing, it's wet. I lift the hand up to my face to see my entire palm painted red.
His wound opened up.
The grey wolf pleads, but the chief looks at me with disdain, not a hint of empathy in his eyes. I hear a rush padding from the other room, and I silently leave as Verissa runs in. Chief! The older wolf flinches at her voice and turns to face her, its expression showing clear contempt. I guess we kind of threw her under the bus with me talking.
Care to explain?
I wanted to tell you during the meeting.
Well, I think you should tell me the moment I came back from the hunt. Put my son in the stockades.
He nods to the guards, who force Rannoch back onto his feet while the chief points at me.
I want that thing executed for trespassing and speaking our tongue.
No!
No! The chief stumbles back in surprise, their unison and determination. As your shaman, it is my duty to advise against this.
It is our law.
This human is here because the spirits willed it and Rannoch only obeyed. The older male scoffs.
What are you talking about?
Please stay your paw for just a moment, she utters softly, slowly circling around the chief and moving herself close to me with each step. Let us hold the meeting as intended and allow me to explain everything. Then you are free to decide whether to execute the human or imprison Rannoch. If you refuse, however, you'll have to kill me first, as I promised the human's safety. She finally stands in front of me, shielding me with her own body. And I intend to keep it. The older male huffs angrily, glaring at me and then his son.
What are you playing at? You think you have some sort of upper hand here just because you're a shaman? You're not even that. A novice at best I could replace with a second thought.
The female is oddly calm, allowing a moment of silence to fall over the room. Fine, but I won't budge. If anyone tries to touch the human, you'll have to find a new shaman all the same. Because I'll die if I let anything happen to him. She stands defiantly in front of me. I can see Rannoch's eyes gloss at her determination. The grey wolf resounds my own gratitude.
Everyone knows the humans here. Howl saw him. Rannoch compromised the safety of our people, and now you're betraying them by siding with that thing.
We did what the spirits willed us to do. The female protests sternly. She approaches the chief slowly, stopping just inches from him. She leans into his ear, whispering quietly enough so the other wolves won't hear. I know you don't want to throw away Rannoch's future. I can fix this.
The tribe won't like this.
The tribe has to obey the will of our ancestors. Verissa pulls back, raising her voice so all could hear her. Besides, the human is untouchable. Yesterday when I tended to his wounds, I took a piece of cloth dipped in his blood and burned it at the altar. He is now under the protection of our ancestors.
You did what?
The older male snarls in complete outrage, his clawed paws almost itching to grab her. She doesn't even flinch. Whatever Verissa did seems drastic. The chief barely contains his rage. She mentioned she needed to do 2 things to get this sorted. Stabbing was one. I guess this altar thing was the other. I did everything according to the guidance I received. As long as the human remains within the village, any wolf who does him harm renounces his tribe and our ancestors. The old wolf looks at her with a mixture of anger and disbelief, while the guards gaze between each other and me. The chief finally takes a deep breath and sheathes his sword.
Violet Luna, I hope you know what you're doing. Release him.
The older male waves his paw at the guards who let Rannoch go. I can swear he's about to rush towards me, but composes himself the last second, realising all eyes are on him.
His wound.
Verissa turns to regard me and approaches slowly. She kneels next to me, touching the bloody dress and pressing down on it slightly. I wince as it stings a little. There's not much pain. She rubs her fingers covered in my blood, bringing them to her nose and taking idle sniffs. It's fine. It'll clog itself in a moment. She states, returning to face the others and rubbing her paw into a bundle of linen on the floor. I do hope she's right, as the bandages got quite red.
One of you has to stay here and keep an eye on that mongrel. Don't let him out of sight. If he tries anything, do what you must short of killing him.
Verissa stops, looking back at the guards. No, the human is not to be harmed under any circumstance. Unless either you don't mind being banished. The guards look frantically between each other and then gaze at the chief, who sighs in annoyance.
Fine. I'm sure I can overpower that whelp without any serious injury if it comes to that.
He'll be good. He's very cooperative.
The chief glances at me and then gives Rannoch a stern look.
More than can be said about you.
With that, they leave the room. Rannoch stops at the doorway, looking back at me with a sorrowful gaze. I'm sure he didn't imagine this day to take such a turn. But here we are. I almost feel angry at myself that I didn't make better use of the time we had together. I can't tell myself I couldn't have known, because I did know. Vol did warn me the very first night. I just didn't listen. I tried to give him a reassuring smile, give him strength to go through whatever is going to happen next. He returns the gesture just before he leaves the room. The 2 guards play some form of rock, paper, scissors, decide who's going to be saddled with me for the rest of the day. The loser grunts in annoyance. It almost makes me chuckle. This is so familiar behaviour. The other male leaves in a hurry while the one forced to watch over me stands in the doorway, taking a dignified pose. It's regarded me from time to time with both suspicion and disgust. I would try to at least kill time talking with him. However, we still have to play the game of me being ignorant. I just resign myself to that corner, sitting beneath the window ledge and observing how the shadows in the room grow longer and darker. Knowing my fate's been decided in some meeting a stone's throw away unsettles me. I feel a knot forming inside my stomach. Time stretches mercilessly. It almost feels as if I'm sitting here for days. The guard rarely moves, just standing there and looking at me every now and then. He seems both curious and troubled by me, and it's the only form of entertainment I have. Each time I lock my gaze at him for much longer than he deems appropriate, he issues a warning growl. It's not hard to understand it as, stop staring at me. Eventually the yellow light gives way to orange and finally blue tints. Day turns into night, and the meeting seems to still be ongoing, which doesn't fill me with confidence. If Verissa had this truly figured out, the meeting wouldn't drag on like this, would it? Not knowing my fate is torture. Are these my last moments for execution? Or if the female manages to save my life, will I get cast out instead? Whatever the outcome, the only thing that keeps worrying me is if I get to see Rannoch again. I want to be with him alone just one more time, so we can talk. I want to fix whatever mistake we made this morning. He's not defective, not to me, and I want him to know that. I might be confused about what is going on here, but I don't want him to believe that being himself isn't in any way wrong. That little exchange triggered something inside of me. I felt like being in his shoes before. I did allow others to dictate what I can and cannot be. That's a feeling even my memory loss cannot erase. He's right. My situation is a clean slate and I don't want to feel like that ever again. And like guys, I will not be ashamed of it. I will not allow anyone to make me feel defective. And I will do everything in my power to ensure he does not allow himself to be boxed in either. I'm not having any illusions that he's into me. What happened this morning was just a fluke. I'm a scrawny little kid. What could possibly a handsome wolf like him want with me? Wait, handsome? Oh, no. I don't even know what I think about this. Is it possible I started having feelings towards him? This is absurd. It's just in my head. I'm in a stressful situation. You don't fall for a guy in a stressful situation. Especially one you just met. That's like the biggest cliche there is. And yet, am I into him? I think I might be. I mutter under my breath, drawing attention to the guard. Shit. He's not surprised, though, at least not as every other wolf was so far. He simply shrugs when he turns to look at the wall in front of him. Guess he didn't hear me. Good. This is so messed up. I sigh, simply slumping to the wall and gazing at the ceiling in resignation. 100 years later, I finally doze off. To be continued. I hope you all enjoyed that, and one particular person, I hope you really enjoyed that. And feel free to let me know if you didn't enjoy anything about that. He knows who he is. Anyway, that's it for this version of Far Beyond the World. Whenever the next build comes out, publicly, of course, we'll be doing that, and we can maybe find out what's going on in this meeting. And Sam shouldn't be worried about the meeting going on. Trust me, I've had meetings go on and on and on and really not achieve anything. I can just imagine this Tan, whoever he is probably chopsing away without actually getting anywhere. Yes, I had to take minutes of meetings. I know what it's like. Anyway, that was it. I'm really interested to see where we go from here. And of course, I had to choose that one option. I mean, who couldn't be into Rannoch? Seriously, have you seen that wolf? Anyway, so the next video is going to be an extra one for this Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah, it's going to be after class, Lars, day 7, and then it'll either be the new password update or William's update for the smoke room. Whichever one of those isn't the first, that'll be the second one. And then we hopefully are up to date with things, more or less. Till someone else brings out an update and I have to start over again. But thanks for watching this, and sorry for all the rambling at the end. If you ever wondered, all this is entirely unscripted. The only script I have is what people have written for me here. That's a nice moon there. And that looks like a good place to end this. So, again, thanks for watching. Bye for now.